Yeah, okay.
So, first I read something out to you. Sometimes I think we all have embedded in the brain a personal space, like a home we've lost that lingers in our skulls. This place and the people, they're like elements of primary colors, forming and haunting our lives. The original place isn't ideal, just primary, saturating your child's sensibility like the first exposure of film. If that place is then lost, it settles in the brain, rare and fantastic. This is a quote from a book called The Sister Antipodes by Jane Ellison, and I read it some years ago, and it stuck with me. Why? Because I was born in Poland. When I was 16, we moved to Germany, and 20 plus years later, 14 years ago, I moved to Australia. The original place, this expression, I thought that's something I have to make work about, because for the few years before, I already was thinking about where am I from, who am I, how Polish or how German am I, where is my home, because I didn't and I think still don't feel at home here. It's quite a different type of culture and mentality and thinking. And like this quote says, what you experience as a child, no matter how much you try to leave it behind you, it impresses you forever. You will judge people, things, places according to what you learned as a child. In Poland we have this saying, what the eggshell soaks in when it's young, it will stink off when it's old. And I think that applies to us as people too. I realized over the years that I actually can't really say who I am or where do I belong to. I don't belong here. I was, after 30 years, when was that? In 2011. I went to Poland for the first time after 30 years. I don't belong there. And I must say that in previous years, I always thought I wouldn't want to go back. But when I went back, although it's not the place I remember, not only because memories get upfront and are not accurate and you forget things, but also obviously I change and the place and the people there also change. Plus in the case of a country like Poland, there was also other much more severe changes than, for example, here or in Germany. I mean, everything, the whole country, the whole culture changed. But still, I found places and people of my generation with whom I had so much in common, much more than, for example, the Germans amongst which I grew up and became an adult person. And I found sights and smells and colors, and that's like no other place in the world for me. So anyway, I started thinking about this quote and started thinking how true it is. And if you forget or if you try to remember, you hold on. Obviously, if you feel like you don't have a place and you don't have a home, you sort of stick with these memories. And because also it's a childhood, I mean, unless something really horrific happened to you during your childhood, it would always be nostalgic and you will remember and with fondness various things that you experienced as a child, your childhood friends, you know, the games you played. So it was interesting to look when I went back and when I was trying to remember what you can find and what you can't find, and if this place, if it's not there, why isn't it there? Because it changed, or because I changed, or because it was never there in the first place. You just, you know, fantasized something, thinking that it's a little bit like, you know, let's say, for example, you and your sister were going for 10 years during your childhood into one place for summer holidays, and you both were there, yet your memories will differ of different events, or maybe even your displaced a little bit. Like you will remember that at one stage you were, I don't know, catching frogs or something, but you won't be able to say which summer it was. So there are all sorts of subtleties when you try to remember. No matter how sure you are of your memories, it won't be true. And I was thinking about it because these memories are so fond for me for so many reasons. I was thinking about it, how beautified they became over the years, and that's what basically this work is about, how the memories of childhood become more and bigger and more fantastic, more mystical, a little bit like little treasure islands, and you embellish them. And everything you see here is pretty much based on various pieces of work from Polish folklore, or rather, of various media. Yeah, is that the right way to say it? So, and it all started when one day I had when thinking about what I would do next and how I would do it, how I would do this work about this original place and the basically fairy tale that I built out of that. How would I express it? And I had the idea of a little paper napkin with a little crocheted lace attached to it. And then something clicked, because in Poland there is the folk art of paper cut, which you see in, I think, 3 works in this exhibition. And that's basically in the 19th century when finally paper was available that was thin enough, and it was also available in various colors, where the peasants started making paper cuts. They were folding this paper, a piece of paper, several times, and then cutting various patterns into it with shearer's scissors. And then they were putting that on the wall of their houses, and also as a little lacy frame around the pictures of saints and, you know, Mary and the baby Jesus and all sorts of. So basically trying to beautify and make look more precious the things that were precious to them anyway. And then when the paper cut was damaged or dirty, or, you know, if they put it up on the wall before Christmas, then for Easter they took them away, threw them away, and put new ones on to have the house nice for Easter, and so on throughout the year. And I was thinking about it, that it was so easy to discard because it was just paper, and my idea was, if I attach a lace to it, if I gild it, if I put gold embroidery around it or whatever, you will hold on to it, probably not necessarily because of the paper cut, but because of the other things. So that was one thing. And from there it sort of, more often than not by accident, basically developed into going into other media. The last development being the wafer work, which relates to a tradition we have in Poland. When you celebrate Christmas, the Christmas Eve is the most important thing, the Christmas Eve dinner. And after the dinner, which happens around 4 o'clock because it gets dark early, and after the dinner you send the children out, for example, to stand by the window and watch out for the first star, and when the first star appears, that means the presents are under the tree. And the presents were delivered either by baby Jesus or by Father Christmas, not the American Coca-Cola Santa. So before the dinner started, everyone had by their setting on the table had a little postcard-sized wafer. They are produced extra for that in Poland, and they are produced in machines which sort of make like a relief type of picture on them, so it's some sort of religious scene. And you share this wafer. It comes from the old tradition of breaking bread with somebody. You share it, so basically somebody breaks a piece of your wafer, and you collect pieces from the wafers from everyone else at the table. And it's basically the wishes of good luck for the coming year, of sign of friendship and love. It's the wish for good harvest, wisdom, protection, all sorts of things. There is even the old tradition, but we didn't do it and still don't do it in towns, in the country, that there are red wafers made, which are made for the animals in this, for the horses and cows and everything else you have, because red color is protection. That's why, for example, also cows and horses, and also little girls have red ribbons braided into their hair for the protection from the evil eye. So, and I always loved this tradition and love it to this day. And during when Poland had all sorts of political turmoils in previous centuries, and even to this day, my parents are receiving letters from relatives and friends from Poland, little wafers. They're usually basically crumbs when they arrive, broken and stuff, but still we get them. So that's sort of the history of part of the wafer works, and the flowery work, which is made out of fondant, which has nothing to do really except that sweets are beloved everywhere and they're part of any celebration. And for Easter, little children become a basket made up with ham in it and eggs and all sorts of food that you will eat during Easter, and a sugar lamb, which is the sign of Jesus. And you go then to the church with this basket and you all get blessed, and when you come back you have some sort of late breakfast, like a brunch, and you eat this blessed food. So you could say that, but this flowery work actually relates to something else, to the Corpus Christi religious holiday, where you have processions going through the streets of the town or village, with the priest blessing people left and right, and in front of the procession, again, little girls in pretty dresses with a little basket full of flower petals go and throw the flower petals in front of the procession, and that's also one of my favorite memories. So you see, everything has sort of the relation to the place I'm from, to the folklore of the place, because I think folklore is much more than any other part of a culture, especially nowadays where everything is so streamlined all over the world. It sort of has this sort of individuality that I'm looking for, that distinguishes us from the other group of people, although even there, on these wafer postcards there are signs which apparently are old Slavic signs for wisdom and happiness and love and sun, which again means warmth and protection and comfort and good harvest. But you find these signs, there is crossovers with Persian signs and all over the world. So again, we're not as different to each other as we think, but still, yeah. That's probably what I would like to say right at the start. And if you already have questions, or if you want to walk around a little bit and ask me something, then we all move towards the work that interests you and we can talk further.
Thank you. I just have one question. I
Yeah.
had a look around in that room there. Is that actually fondant that has made the shapes, or is it paper, or is it something?
No, it's fondant. It's what you use to, the icing on cakes, and what the cake makers in particular use to make the flowers.
And is that coated with anything?
No, but it's just colored with food coloring.
Okay. And it lasts?
I don't know how long it will last. There's also a difference. I did it for the first time. I actually bought it for something else, or that I was planning for this exhibition, but because I had very little time to prepare the work for the show, I tried to do what I wanted to do, and it didn't work on the first attempt. And I spent a week trying to find a way, and it didn't work, so I left it. But I had the fondant, and I had the coloring, because I bought it to make these pearls, which are made out of bread paste. It's bread mixed with other things. And actually that also relates to all tradition, that to have necklaces made out of coral was for all the ship girls in the village, that was the dream that was not achievable for most of them. Only the richest ones could afford real corals. So they were trying to find a way to also get nice and elegant and stuff. And one way was to make wooden beads and paint them, and the other one was to make bread paste, which was made out of bread and raisin, and then I can't remember now what it was, some chemical compound that colored it red. And you can see them in ethnographic museums to this day, and this paste was also used, and you can also see them in the ethnographic museum, to make toys for children. And they survive to this day. So I got the food coloring to make these pearls, and then since I had the fondant, I started thinking, because I actually quite liked working with it, what can I do? And then the idea of the Corpus Christi parade and the flowers developed, so I got myself a little set, you have to have a sponge on which you place the little things you make, otherwise they will get flat on the bottom, and little instrument with which you can stretch the petals and shape them into various forms. So I bought that and started making it, and it worked. But for example, at one stage I ran out of icing. I had it colored in different colors, and I realized I want to have more red. And I went to Spotlight, and I wanted to buy a little bit, because you can buy them in sort of 250 gram packages, but Spotlight only had big ones. And I thought at that stage I don't need big ones, I don't need a kilo. So in another shop I found different brand in red, small packaging, and it was crap. I've made beautiful peonies out of that, but it never really hardens. It's to this day it's sort of soft and very easy to break, and I couldn't use it, although the peony flower is beautiful. So you still have to experiment, although you have to hurry up, and not everything will work as well as the other thing. Yeah, so that's how it came, and now I can't tell, when you're careful with it. I actually noticed, because I had some flowers made for a month and longer before I started assembling the pieces, they faded a little bit, the color faded a little bit, or they changed a little bit in the light. I don't know how long it will last. I will move on. I will soon try different material, which is called porcelain, which is something that will be lasting, and you can work with it exactly like with fondant. But I still like the sugar, and I would love if somebody bought one of these pieces, and I wouldn't even mind if they nibbled on some of these pearls or petals or something. I think it would be a lovely thing, and I think it sort of appeals more to my understanding what art should be, rather than just having, forever a sellable object that somebody buys and puts on. I think it should be more of an experience rather than something that fits with my wall color. So yeah, I love the idea. The same with the wafers. I can't tell. They should last quite a while. It's basically wheat flour or
so that's
rice
not
flour.
paper either. That's not paper.
No, that's wafers.
Okay.
If you know nougat.
Yes, I know.
It's called, that's actually made out of rice flour, and it's very thin, and it's called edible paper. Even so, that's what I first bought to work with, and they are basically too thin for my purposes, so I had to glue them together.
That's what I thought. That's why it looked thicker. I thought it must be handmade paper.
And the ones, the postcards made of, and the round ones, you actually can get them in Germany, because in Germany you have sort of gingerbreads that are placed on, probably coconut sort of with egg white beaten together and dumped on a little. So you can get them in round and in various sizes, and I got my mother to send me packets of it, and that's how I made the round ones, which relate to something else that relates to, Christmas tree is actually a relatively new tradition. Before that, at least in Europe, in Poland, Germany, and so on, people were hanging branches of pine from the ceiling, so upside down basically, or in Poland they were also making sort of crystalline type hanging sculptures made out of straw, or beans which symbolize good fortune and so on. And also apparently out of wafers. They were making round things that are called światy, which is the worlds. And I always thought that it relates to geography, you have latitudes and so on, that's why the lines around it. But apparently not. It relates to the old Slavic, which is not just Slavic, it's the same with Native Americans and also here the Aborigines, of their understanding of time, which is not linear like ours, that one thing comes after another, it's circular. That's why, for example, when it happened often here and in America and elsewhere, that when an indigenous person got put into jail overnight, for example, to sober out or something, next day they were dead. Because tomorrow didn't mean to them what it means to us. They were at that particular moment, they were there, and this moment lasts forever at that particular moment. So interestingly, you find that in Poland too. And basically, so they had, it could be either one sort of bauble hanging from the ceiling, or from this bauble could several smaller and bigger and so on hang. And I actually didn't know this tradition in Poland. I just found it out when I started researching all these things and the things I knew, and then there was a mention of that, and I thought, oh wow, cool, I have to do something with that. So basically all that work, while it relates to where I'm from and what people there used to do and are still doing, it's sort of, it's little bits and pieces that I start out with, and the rest I just come up with something. I don't know if it would be approved by the, people who do it right or something, but I don't think that's my idea of who I am and what this place is that I'm